Hey fellas, how's it going? I've been chipping away at a couple different projects, and I have some big news. It's over. Okay, not like over, but things look pretty grim. There's been a couple different industry-wide developments that have thrown my projects into uncertainty. Let me back up a bit. I have two long-term projects that I have been working on. I've mentioned them before here and there, but decided to give these development updates an official series. Who knows how long this will last? This devlog might end up only running for one episode. You probably don't really care about all this. Honestly, this series is more for me than for you, but you're obligated to stay and listen. The algorithm gave me to you, so I'm your responsibility now. Anyway, the first project is a game called Mistpine Academy. It's a roguelite first-person shooter combined with a waifu dating sim, and it's targeted towards Android devices. Like any dating sim worth its salt, it will have some scene content. However, that, combined with it primarily being a mobile title, is where most of the issues come from. I've already rehashed this a few times, so I'll try to keep it brief. There's not really any established infrastructure for premium, esoteric anime mobile games. What I mean is, there isn't many places where you can sell APKs of Goon games, and for the few that there are, they don't offer a smooth user experience for downloading and installing these games. So this remains a niche within a niche. Some quick terminology notes if you're unfamiliar. An APK is the file that lets you manually install an app on your Android device, and a premium app refers to a paid app rather than a free-to-play one. Anyway, these issues are where the idea for my second project came from, an Android app store called Ladle. Might change the name later, but I like it so far. This more acts as a proof of concept for a mobile store client hosting premium Anime H titles. Its purpose is to offer a similar experience to apps like the Play Store, having a catalog of Android games that the user can buy to add to their digital library and then seamlessly download and install them onto their device. Right now, a lot of the core functionality is in, like showing a repository of game entries and being able to download then install those files, but it still has a long way to go. With all that out, let's get to some of the industry issues that have cropped up recently. Firstly, payment processors have been ramping up attacks on these kinds of games. Many big platforms like Steam and Itch are getting pressured to ban or at least throttle visibility for this genre. Plus, monetizing your H project is becoming less and less feasible as more payment systems are not accepting this kind of content. This is all very concerning but not completely insurmountable. However, it's the second issue that deals the real blow. Google has announced that moving forward, Android devices will only be able to install APK files if they're from a verified account. This might single-handedly kill both of my projects. On paper, it doesn't seem like that big of an issue, but it effectively means Android users will lose the ability to install any app they want. You will only be able to run software from developers on Google's regulated list, which already sounds like a precarious proposition now, so I can only imagine what things could be like in a few years. However, there is potentially a glimmer of hope. Rumors have been circulating that Valve is working on a translation layer for the ARM architecture similar to Proton, which could be used to open a lot of doors for gaming on mobile devices. But let's be real, if your only hope is a company, maybe, doing something in the distant future that might help your situation potentially in some way, then it might be time to admit it's over. Honestly, I'm not sure where to go from here. The only real thing I can do is keep plugging away at my projects and hope these APK restrictions don't turn out as bad as I fear. Speaking of which, this is a devlog, so I should probably at least talk a little bit about my recent progress. For Mistpine Academy, I did a rough mock-up of all the arena designs for the final roguelike layer of the game. It's the only time in my life that I actually use a pencil and paper anymore. It's just faster for jotting down certain details. As for the actual arenas, I've put together about a quarter of this layer now. I'll leave the rest for future sprints. I've also written a few more random challenge events for the arena encounters, but I want to try to save the bulk of the dialogue writing until I'm done putting together the actual environment models. You know, believe it or not, when I first started this game project, I thought the concept was simple enough that I could be done in a few months. But the more work I did, the more work seemed to appear. Funny how that is. As for Ladle, I'm kind of at a crossroads. A lot of the core functionality is already in place, but the other necessities might be a bit out of my reach. It needs to be able to process payments, but one, I have to remind you that payment processors have a bit of a grudge against this kind of content lately, and two, this is still largely just a prototype with no actual premium titles in its catalog, so trying to apply for a processing API when there's nothing to actually process might be inappropriate. I've thought about maybe doing some micro game projects, which could be priced at 99 cents, thus giving me at least some actual sellable products to justify a payment processor. But I'm not sure it's a good idea to spend the time set aside for my main game project on small side games. The actual project is just never going to get done at that rate. I'm not completely discounting the micro projects idea though. I don't know. I'll look into all this payment stuff a bit more. Maybe there's some kind of crypto thing that would be a good fit. I know crypto's reputation has seen better days, but I do find it to be a promising alternative system. A lot of these kinds of games are funded and accessed through subscription-based platforms, so maybe I should try to add some kind of compatibility with some of those services, but not totally sure how that would work. Also, for a while I've been looking for H-friendly storefronts that sell premium Android ports, and one of the only ones I ever found was itch.io. But recently, I found a new one called Psyche. I was aware of them before, but didn't realize they had a few Android titles in their catalog. It's not many, and it only seems to be VNs. But hey, it's something. I hope they flesh this catalog out, but it doesn't seem to be a priority, and with all that's going on, I can't really blame them. So anyway, yeah, that's how my projects are going. You guys playing anything? Well, I'm sure there's one thing we've both been playing. I finally managed to get all the endings. I didn't use any mods, but believe me, I thought about it. If you haven't checked them out, a lot of them are quality of life or balance changes. Even FromSoft eventually got rid of long runbacks. Why do some indie devs insist on keeping it alive? Speaking of mods, I've been eyeing the ones for Stellar Blade for a while. I thought about doing a video showcasing esoteric mods for a bunch of games across a variety of genres, but have been unsure how I would structure that kind of thing. One last thing, does anyone know what Stove is? It seems to be a newcomer app store thing, but it also sells PC games. It will sometimes even be featured as a release platform, so I guess it's somewhat established. There seems to be a distinction between Stove and Stove Store, but they both seem to largely be the same thing. The more I look into it, the more confused I get. Well, in any case, I've yapped long enough. Check out my projects in the description if they piqued your interest, and I'll see you later.